Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to your LandscapeToday.net weekly U.S. weather outlook. These are the weather trends we're watching in the coming week. There is a break in the far west. California, in particular, going to see some high pressure. Good timing for the Super Bowl. There'll still be some precip in Washington and Oregon, but California sees a break in the weather that will last better than a week. So if you want to get some work done in California and not have to worry about a rain system coming in, you've got some days coming up. Big cold is coming late in the weekend and next week for the Central and East. In fact, it may be the coldest day of the season. For the Midwest, the Great Lakes, all of the Northeast and East, with a pretty big push of cold even into the Deep South coming next week. There's a pretty big wave of cold next week, maybe another one come at the end of February for the Central and East. We'll take a look at that here coming up in a minute. Wet weather does return to California and beyond late next week. So despite the West having a break and some high pressure, we do see those El Nino rains and snows returning to California towards the middle and the end of February. The current weather pattern right now shows high pressure building along the West Coast. Here's the trough that caused the blizzard in the Rockies and upper Midwest here over the last couple of days. We've had a nice warm-up in the east and southeast ahead of this storm, but this trough of low pressure is going to head east, and you can see that when we look ahead. This is the upper-level jet stream pattern for next Monday. High pressure, big high pressure builds over the Rockies and the West Coast. That leads to a nice warm-up and a good episode of weather for the West Coast for a short time. But we have what's called cross-polar flow setting up, where the upper-level winds will actually be driving over the North Pole, into Canada, then into the heart of the Midwest, Great Lakes, then swinging into the east. So next week, for the nation's midsection, Great Lakes east, and even down here in the Deep South, we'll be ready for a shot of winter, a return to much colder temperatures and some ice and snow. And we look at precipitation over the next week, we can see the boundary between that cold shot coming and the warmer waters off the Atlantic will mean the heaviest precipitation here over the next week. And on the western edge of this system, and this rainfall will be the frozen precipitation, getting up into the Northeast, maybe even some snow for the New Hampshire primary coming on up. Rain and snow and ice right along this boundary with snow on the western edges. In the Pacific Northwest, this is mostly here over the next few days. Then that drier trend that we talked about here in central and southern California, as well as the desert Southwest, it's temporary, but there is a break coming there. Thanks for tuning in to LandscapeToday.net for your weekly U.S. weather update. I'm day weather meteorologist Don Day.